Hey, good morning. That's why I don't sing. Good morning. Get in there. Get in there, Gabe.
Good morning.
Good morning. I don't know. We're
Should we start
here.
over already?
We should start over. Okay, so I learned something when doing the thumbnail for the podcast thing is every time like I would go to post like me and another guest were our faces were always like distorted, like one was off from the other one. So lean forward and let's just smile, and this will be like, but let's pose a little bit. Like I'm gonna wait, you're too close. Like I'm gonna say something funny. Oh, that's good. You do that and I'll laugh like this,
Okay.
and this will be our thumbnail. Really? Okay, we're done. Thank you. Uh, Hey, welcome to Gabe's already exhausted by it. Welcome to episode 9 of the Happy Agent podcast with me, your
9?
host, Courtney Benson. Yeah,
Wow.
I know, but we know how I count. I don't count very well sometimes. Like I
So it could
thought,
be 12, it could be 4.
oh, it's valid. I thought, and I've been saying on the TikToks that I've been an agent for like 13 years. Funny story, it's really like 11. How did I get it so wrong? It's hot in here. Thank you for lowering the temperature. I don't know how I got it wrong, but it's okay. Life goes on. So welcome to episode 9. Here's another little piece of horror that I discovered this morning is Dante, my AI assistant that you all met a few episodes back, is apparently on vacation. I asked him some stuff this morning and he was just like, no, ma'am, I am sick of your nonsense. Figure it out yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Dante would never talk to me like that. He did question my parenting once. That was not cool. But anyways, jokes on him though. I asked him about the podcast last night, so it was already saved. Today we are having a talk about hard conversations, which so many people shy away from. I think I'm pretty good
You
at
are.
it. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I don't want to be the only piece of advice. So I have kind of summarized. There's people that I absolutely love, and I love their advice, and I love the things they say. So I'm bringing them into the conversation. They will not be on screen because they don't know who the hell I am. But but I'm going to share some things that they say that have helped me personally. So we're going to talk about Chris Voss, who wrote
Never split the difference.
Never Split the Difference. He was an FBI hostage negotiator. I'm going to give you some of his advice. Sharon Srivatsa, who will be my forever president at Real Broker. If you don't follow him on the Instagrams, you totally should. You should follow all these people. But Sharon is just a brilliance all of his own. So he's given some advice on this. Jefferson Fisher from TikTok. First of all, he's a super cutie patootie. Plug your ears. He's a super cutie patootie, and he is a trial attorney. Well, he was. Now he's like super TikTok famous. And he has some really great advice. There's some Mel Robbins in there for you. So let's get started. I would love to give you a recap in the intro to what this podcast is, but let's be honest, I never wrote it down, and it's just been living on Dante. And Dante's on vacation. That's okay. He puts in a lot of work. So basically what this is I started a podcast and I started a whole community called the Happy Agent Collective. It's on Facebook. If you're not there with us, you should 100% be there with us because it's just a cool place to be. It's we talk real estate, we talk mindset, we talk about shit gets hard, and we're there to support each other, and nobody's snarky. They're not allowed to be. So unlike a lot of other Facebook groups for real estate agents, we just don't put up with that kind of crap. Life's too short. So anyways, that turned into a podcast, and here we are. Here we are. So anyways, this is a big topic for me because for years I struggled with having hard conversations and the anxiety around it. That's why I got myself a business therapist, Miss Ryan Gillen, who you see on here. She's a collaborator of the Happy Agent from time to time. Go follow her. You'll see her on future podcasts. She's brilliant. So I was, instead of opting for a hard conversation or making people feel uncomfortable in whatever they would say to me or do, I opted to just take the hit personally, emotionally, so they didn't feel uncomfortable instead of having the hard conversation. So, I didn't even introduce my guest host, but you guys know him. It's Gabe. We've been married it'll be 20 years when? July 2nd.
Yep.
20 years. We've had 20 years of hard conversations and avoidance of conversations.
That's true. Okay.
Blow it up there. We're getting better, though.
We are. Absolutely.
Yeah, 20 years in, we're getting better. Also,
I'm excited about number 5. I feel like I do that a lot.
The
emotional leaks. I'm excited to get there.
You're leaky, all right.
20 could be it.
20 could be it. 20, that's enough. Guys, that's enough. 20 years is too long. What would you do without me?
I have no idea.
You'd like to find out.
No.
And we've worked together for 7, 8 years,
Yeah.
at least in this capacity
Yeah.
as real estate agents. We had that whole dry cleaner nonsense
We'll talk
before.
about that.
That's episode 1. Go back and find episode 1. So let's get started. How do we have conversations? Chris Voss said, let me double check my conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. So you can avoid it. You can avoid it all you want. It's just going to get worse. So let's talk about why do we avoid conflict?
Because it's hard.
You have dog hair on you. Okay. Lean in.
Okay.
I'm bossy.
Yes.
Assertive. I'm not bossy. That's too close. Okay. Now you're making it weird. Okay, so let's talk about why we avoid conflict. Boundaries.
Yep.
We either don't have them or we're uncomfortable putting.
I feel like we should practice this a little bit.
The boundaries. You're encroaching. It's hot in here, so it's like boundaries. Definitely that's a big one for me. I've always. I'm going to turn this way a little bit. Have struggled to maintain my boundaries, and I still, even to this day, I just take on too much. Yesterday was a big example of that, and it was just I have a tendency to just be like, yeah, I can do it, and instead of removing things off my plate, I add more because I think that makes me more productive. And then what happens is that just doesn't, and so
you're also more of a charge ahead person. Figure it out later, which kind of comes to.
Yeah,
when we have hard conversations with people, you kind of just charge into it.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that bad? I feel like you kind of presented it like that was probably not the best situation.
I don't think you avoid them. I think you just you attack your problems head on. Maybe not always the best strategy, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute.
I do. But I think that's a little bit newer to me, don't you? I think actually Missy helped me with that. So I had a good friend for years who was very unhinged in her approach to conversations, and she made me braver in that capacity, in that she was like, I mean, just talk about it. You have to just talk about it. Being unliked, we as realtors tend to be big people pleasers, and we don't want to be unliked.
That was the first thing you ever taught me.
That was. You want to tell that? I won't cut you off.
You're better off than... Go ahead.
No, people want to hear you talk.
I was showing a house, just had my license weeks, days, I don't know. And I was walking around going, oh, look how great this is. Look how great this is. And Courtney walks in and goes, they're never going to...
You're right. I'll tell the story. I love you.
Yeah.
So Gabe went on his first showing by himself with some... I don't even know where they came from. And I don't even think we even sold them something. They were like some cold call, weird, I don't even know. Anyways, I went by to go check on him. He was at this house in Plano, and this house was just trash. Like, it was horrible. The foundation was bad. It was ugly. Like, it just, terrible house. And so I walk in, and he was like, oh, like, just so nice. Like, I wasn't really familiar with that version of you. You were so, like,
wait, what?
Not that you're not nice. You were so accommodating in tone.
Oh, wow.
And so he was just like, oh, this is so great. Look, like you could demo this wall and the mold is fine, guys. Like, it's fine. No, he wasn't like that. But he was just so nice. And I walked in, and the buyers are kind of like, oh, and I walk in, I was like, oh, this house sucks. Like, the foundation is shot. Like, this, look at the windows, look at, and then the wife looks at me and she's like, oh, I like her. And so we get in the car. He went with me to the next showing, and I was like, why are you being so nice? And you were like, I don't know. And I said, you will never be nice enough for somebody to trust you. In fact, when people are overly sugary, sweet, nice, people have a tendency to wonder what's behind that veil. So you're not going to out nice someone. But we do have a tendency to worry about hard conversations because we don't want to be unliked. And if we're unliked, then we don't get the job. At least that's what we think. And I have discovered as I've been peeling back some of those beliefs that I've held. Was that your stomach? Are you hungry?
You could have kept that out of the podcast.
It's a hard conversation, Gabe. You hungry?
Yep.
As I'm peeling back some of those things, I have found, in fact, people want to work with me more because of my ability to have hard conversations and not worry so much about being liked. But again, I think that feeling the need to be liked also is dependent sometimes on your bank account. And let's be honest, hard conversations, let's be honest, because when shit is down and you're like, how am I going to pay that? You don't want to rock the boat with anyone. You want to make sure that you're getting the job. So totally get that, but just realize that being that way sometimes will in fact actually do the opposite. You can be kind, but you don't have to be so agreeable. And I think that's really the thing, is you don't have to be, kindness doesn't equate to being not unkind, but you don't have to be so agreeable.
But there's an honesty thing, which I think is what we're seeing a lot of clients right now. We've had a few sellers recently who are just, the prices are too high. We need to be honest with them about where they are so we're not wasting their time.
Yeah. That can be a hard conversation, especially if you do too much upfront. So the first one I want to talk about, the first tactic and strategy is actually mine. I picked me to go first.
Sounds right.
Is really, I have pre-conversations, and I've learned to do that. So when I sit down at the table with someone, whether it's meeting a buyer for the first time or via Zoom, because we're doing that a lot now, or I'm at a listing appointment, I tell them up front, hey, look, before we get into this, I want to address a couple things. I'm going to say things that you are super excited to hear me say. You're going to be like, oh my God, we got an offer. Oh my God, like we got it clear to close. Like you're going to be really excited about some things that I'm going to tell you. But you're also going to be really unexcited. Unexcited? That's a word. About some things that I'm going to tell you too. And in those moments, I want you to know that we're both on the same side. My job is to give you facts. Facts don't have emotion. You assign emotion to whatever facts we're giving. So we're going to hold off on the emotion. I'm going to give you facts because it's important for me to know that you have all of the pieces of the puzzle to put it together before you make a decision that is so big, that affects your family, affects you. And that's all I'm doing. And sometimes those are going to be really hard things to hear, but just understand I'm doing it to give you the facts so we can put it together, put the puzzle back together. But I tell them ahead of time, like, there's some days you're going to think I'm great. There's some days you're going to be like, she's a dick. And so in those moments, and no joke, those moments will come up and I can hear their tone, or they're like a sigh, or there's like some quietness. And I'm like, hey, remember when we met and I told you that there would be a moment where you would be like, is she being a dick? Like, what is she doing? I was like, this is that moment. Remember, we're on the same side, but I'm giving you facts that we're not even assigning emotion to. We're just going to give facts. And then they laugh and they're like, you're right. You told me you were going to do that. So we have these pre-conversations. Another thing that I've been doing, which is relatively new to me for the past year. Why do I not have it on hand? I'm the worst. I mean,
what do you want?
I feel like I'm the worst podcast host in the history. Oh, give me my book. So I don't know. Do you guys know that I wrote a book? Well, that's like the bad copy. That's fine. This was literally the worst host. Oh no, is that one under there? Yeah, look at that. So this is something I've been doing over the past year. Again, I'm not a journaler, but I journal. I journal my problems, and that has been, don't you think that's been so good?
Yes.
And even you, because you're definitely not a woo-woo kind of person. You're like, that's dumb. I've been writing things down and watching them come true. And I've been writing things down. So I wrote this, it's a journal for you to do exactly that. And So before we've had a couple of hard conversations when we left our previous brokerage, when we moved over to Real, that was a very hard conversation that we had to have. There were a lot of pieces to that puzzle. And it was scary. Honestly, it was kind of a scary, hard conversation. But in the car on the way down to have that conversation, I wrote down exactly how I wanted it to go in detail, as much detail as you can. I wrote it down. I read it. I stopped giving energy to those feelings and moved forward. And we got to after we had the conversation, we got to the elevator. I remember Gabe looked at me and he goes, holy shit, like you literally wrote down exactly that. And that's something that I've been doing is if you have to have a hard conversation with a client, write down exactly what your intentions are. Write down how you want the outcome to be. Write down how you want their response to be and how you respond to their response. And pro tip, write it down so it works in your favor. Like that, pro tip. And it's amazing just how much that has changed, how much that really shapes a conversation as you go forward. So that's my little piece of advice is have pre-conversations with clients that you will have hard conversations and your intention behind those conversations. And then write it down, get it out of your head, don't give it energy, and move forward with confidence. The second piece of advice comes from Chris Voss. Again, he wrote, Never Split the Difference. We listened to that on podcast like twice. Did you like it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. So he's an FBI hostage negotiator.
He has a podcast too.
He does have a podcast.
He does.
He can just get married.
I don't know.
You don't know that about him.
I wouldn't know that.
She's cute. Side note.
As cute as Jefferson Fisher?
No, no one's really as cute as Jefferson Fisher. It's a
cool.
cutie patootie. So Chris Voss has something called tactical empathy. And one of his tips, which I feel like I don't do it to that extent, but I've been accused of it, is he talks about having the late night FM DJ voice. And so what that means is be aware of your tone. And I think I do this to your disdain. You really, like when we get into arguments, you get really annoyed with me.
Sorry.
We argue about the coughing. I swear, it's his allergies. We hope. You get annoyed with me about my tone because I lose inflection.
Yeah.
And it really triggers you and kind of pisses you off. So anyways, so Chris Voss talks about this late night DJ voice. So basically you're lowering the tone of your voice and you're removing a lot of the inflection. Because you know when somebody lies to you and you're like, hey, internet, do you like these glasses? And half the internet's like, Courtney, I really like your glasses. And the other half is like, yeah, they're really nice. I like them. I think they look really good on your face. Like, at least that's how I read those comments. Anytime somebody raises their pitch a little bit, they're probably not being truthful or they're uncomfortable. And you feel that and you get that kind of just momentary like glimpse into true intention. So if you're delivering some sort of news or you have to have a difficult conversation, lowering your voice to this kind of tone, don't like, hey guys, I know we got to talk to you about your price is too high. Like horrible, right? But if I went in and I was like, all right, let's have a hard conversation. We put it on the market at this price. The market is not on board with where we were. Now we need to reassess. Like that is a more tolerable conversation, and it's going to be read by the receiver of that conversation much differently than if my voice is really high and I was kind of like, doing that kind of thing. So another thing he talks about is mirroring. Yes. So mirroring. I'm from California, and I don't know if it's a California thing or if it's just a Courtney thing. What do I say?
Mia.
I have never said mirror.
No, never.
I'd like to go look in the mirror. I say mirror.
Mia.
Mirror.
You don't even say it like that. It's Mia.
Mia. I do. So mirroring. You gotta mirror people. Now I sound like I'm from New York. I was in New York over the weekend. When I get mad, people are like, are you from New York? I'm like, no. What do you mean? I'm from California. I'll cut you. So anyways, mirroring and labeling. So you're mimicking sometimes the words that the person you're talking to is saying, or you're labeling their feelings. So maybe it would be if I'm talking to a seller about a price reduction, which is very prevalent right now in our market, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, where I have been a realtor for almost 12 years, just to clarify that. And you can tell that the client is getting upset, so you will want to label it. So it sounds like you're frustrated that your house isn't selling for $600,000. It sounds like you're concerned that your house won't sell for $600,000. However you want to say it, but you're labeling their feeling, giving them the acknowledgement that you heard what they said. Another tactic of his is to pause. Pause, let the information sit in the air. Let people digest it. Don't feel like you need to fill the space with rambling or nonsense to cut them off from telling you how they may feel. But if you're in control of your feelings and your words, your situation is going to go much differently. Thoughts on that?
I agree.
That's why I keep them around, folks. 20 years.
I mean, you always say, I mean, whoever talks first loses. So
Yeah.
it's not about losing always, but it's about letting
It
the
is.
other
There's
person.
winners and there's losers. Don't be a loser. That's a known fact in negotiations. Whoever speaks first is typically the one who loses. So present your information and zip it.
Don't over-explain.
Yeah, that's so Sharon Srivatsa, who, again, I tell you, he's my guru for all things real estate and has been our president at Real Broker. And one of the big reasons why I came over, Kim Dean is watching this right now, and she's like, well, I thought it was me, Courtney. And I'm like, it is, Kim. It is you and
That
Sharon.
was Derek.
I told Kim I was using her to get to Derek because I want to be friends with Derek, her
That's fair.
husband. He's pretty great. They're pretty great. I love them. They're our sponsors at Real, and they've been awesome to us. So anyways, back to Sharon. Your time's over, Kim. Sharon. Sharon is just a genius at the way he presents things and says things. And it's because he has a lot of emotional intelligence, which I feel like the agents who really succeed in this business have emotional intelligence. Real estate almost becomes secondary to the function of it, becomes secondary to how we understand our clients, talk to our clients, because we know it could be something it could be a damn GFCI in the kitchen and it can sabotage an entire deal. A $10 outlet can sabotage an entire deal if you don't know how to help people filter their emotions and present things without emotion. I also tell my clients, the person steering the crazy ship can't be crazy. So I'm going to be the one who takes that on. So when you think like, does this girl, like, she didn't even blink. Like, does she just know I do, but I'm not going to for you. I'm going to stay very stoic as we move forward because that's what you need from me. You don't need my emotions on top of your emotions.
But there's a lot of realtors who attack with emotion. A lot.
Oh my God. So many.
About locks or about GFCIs or
Golden retrievers. We just
they're
have dog
mad
hair
they're
everywhere.
outside.
I know. They're outside the office and they're a little pissy. They have emotions this morning. But yes, and realtor to realtor, the triggering of emotions and the inability to get them under control is wild and can also really ruin. This weekend when I was in New York and I was in the cab and we were on our way, we were in Manhattan on Friday. We went to Gov Ball. My sister and I took our daughter to Gov Ball. She's 15.
You're so cool.
I know, so cool. We had such a good time. And we've had this trip planned and we got a new listing that week. And so went up on the market and I don't know why. I should have been expecting multiple offers because that was so arrogant. I was just kidding because I have some others that are sitting. But we ended up getting a lot of conversations. It was just priced really well. The house looks great. Like these sellers did all of the things. Like they found me on Instagram and they just trusted us. They believed us. They did everything we asked them to do. The house was ready and we got multiple offers. And So I was getting some text messages from an agent who she started texting me during the showing. Like every thought that crossed her mind, there's a crack by the door. Does that mean there's foundation problems? And I would respond, no foundation problems reported. But there's a crack by this door. I said, yes, thank you. There's no foundation problems reported. Like that's what's on the disclosure. That's what they know. That is to be true. And she just was like ramping up. There's somebody else here. Why is there somebody else here? Literally texting me these things. I said, because the house is very popular. We have multiple showings and you get notified when another agent is showing at the same time you are. And it was literally, she was there for an hour and she just kept texting me. And her behavior was super unhinged. And then they put in an offer, they put a deadline in the offer. That's a whole nother thing. Please don't put deadlines in an offer that's not it doesn't mean anything. You can't put something in special provisions and one side signs it and that somehow you think that stands. It's not how contracts work. Anyways, but I don't know because I'm not a lawyer and I don't practice law. Check. Her emotional dysregulation was so unhinged that I was like, there's no way. There's no, I cannot imagine.
A long 30 days.
It's a long 30 days to be working with a cuckoo nut. So just realizing that even our emotions, if we are not in control of them, take a breath before you make that phone call, can sabotage things for our clients. And I don't even know if her clients knew she was doing this, like unhinged stuff. I mean, it went on for days, literally days. And it was terrible. So anyways, just getting control of your emotions. Another thing that Sharon talks about is knowing your intention when you go into something. Are you trying to resolve it, clarify it, or are you moving on from it? So what is your intention when you go in to have that conversation? And then practice it. He talks about practicing that conversation up front. And this is kind of similar to writing it down. I used to have a tendency to, when I would practice something before I went into it, I went like worst case scenario, scorched earth. And I'm like, and then they're going to say to me, and then I'm going to be like, what did you think? And I had my aggressive responses all prepared. And it's funny when I removed that from my repertoire. I love how after 20 years, you're always still surprised by me. When I removed that, it was amazing how that stuff went away.
Yeah.
It really did. When I expect a good outcome, and that is the only thing that I will accept, it's the only thing that's coming to me. Because anything outside of that is not in my energetic sphere. As Ryan says, I'm energetically unavailable for bullshit. Yes. Okay, so you wanted to talk about, Sharon talks about emotional leaks. That is something that you
I tend to start things with "I'm sorry, but," and it's not. A lot of times, it's not my fault, but you feel empathy for them. But you don't need to take responsibility for their house not selling.
Exactly, and I think that's part of the people pleasing aspect of. We apologize for things that we have no business apologizing for. Women do that a lot. Women are very apologetic for things.
Oh, they are?
Some women are.
Oh.
Don't worry, I don't have that.
We know.
I don't have that mechanism. And we'll say, because we don't know what else to say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but nobody wants to buy your house. I'm so sorry, but is there any way you could put the dishes in the dishwasher before showings? I'm so sorry, but could you pick up the dog poop on the carpet before people come look at it? Like, literally, we're apologizing for stuff.
One person, one time.
It's been a couple. That we're apologizing for things that we have no control over, and it puts us in a lower position. So when we do have to have a hard conversation that requires respect out of the other side to listen to what they are hiring us to give them, Oh, what's happening with my computer? We're taking that away. So if we're constantly apologizing for things that we didn't do, that we have no reason to apologize for, and now I have to go tell you something that's a hard conversation, it changes that dynamic. So stop apologizing. Don't need to say you're sorry. Just give facts. And you can give facts with kindness, but you just need to give facts. So over apologizing, over explaining, mansplaining, they have a whole phrase for that. You don't do that too much. You don't do that. And just be concise with your words. Again, know what you're going in there for. Are you going to resolve, clarify, or are you trying to move on? And knowing your intention, clarifying your words, practicing it before you go in there, making it concise, and just saying what you have to say without oversaying it. Also saying phrases like, "This is really hard for me." Well, it's not about you. It's about them. So don't bring your problem to it. I mean, anytime somebody's like, "Hey, can I talk to you at noon?" And it's like 9 a.m. and you're like, "Shit, now we're both got spicy pits until 12 o'clock. Because what do you want?" Like, I loathe when people do that to me, when they're like, "Hey, are you around? Can I talk to you?" And they do it with that tone. And I'm
You have
like,
that call in an hour.
I have like 2 of those calls, and I have a lot of hard conversations today, guys. But no worries. They're going to go great. They're going to go great because facts don't have emotions, and neither do I. So I don't do that to people. Don't bring a problem like hours ahead of time, like to your client, like, "Hey guys, ... Can we talk?" Like, ugh, what? Just tell me. I don't want to be thinking about it for hours, because then you start spiraling out. So those are all words of wisdom from Sharon.
Let's get to this Jefferson Fisher
Let's
guy.
get to Jefferson Fisher. Do y'all know him?
Do we have a photo?
He is so cute.
Well, I'll just Google him.
It's good. Let's look him up.
Oh,
He's,
yeah,
he's
totally.
on the TikToks. Oh, that was my video. Oh, sorry.
Sorry for this interlude.
Sorry for this interlude.
How to take control
I'll stop
of a conversation.
Oh,
Number one,
Hold
you
on.
cut into it. And you do that by using the person's name. If you begin with, "well, I," or "no," or "but," they don't like those words. They'll double down on their control and tighten their grip on the conversation. But if you use their name, well, they like that word. And
Gabe.
they'll pause just long enough to listen. Number two, make a comment about what they just said. Now, ideally, it should be a compliment of sorts, and it can be really simple. For example, "Jefferson, you make a good point there." Or, "Jefferson, I agree, this is worth talking about." You see, when it sounds like you're challenging them, they tighten control. But if it sounds like a compliment, they'll let it go without even knowing. Number three, immediately ask a question of curiosity. That means you're going to say the phrase, "I'm curious to know," and then direct the conversation wherever you need it to go. Maybe it's to yourself or back to the other person, to someone else. And that's how to take control of the conversation. So try that and follow me.
Oh, I follow
How
you.
to take control.
He's so cute. He's so cute. That's Jefferson Fisher. He wrote a book. He's in like Central Texas. Like, he's in some small little town in Texas, and he's a litigation attorney, and he just started making TikToks in his car about clients and how to approach things, and he's absolutely phenomenal. So definitely go follow him. One of the things he says is, you're not just speaking, but you're listening to understand. And when you go into a hard conversation and you're so prepared for the next thing that you're saying, you're not listening to the feedback of the person that you're talking to. I do that sometimes.
When we fight, you do.
We don't fight.
No, never.
So definitely just watch yourself as you're going into those conversations. As that person's talking, are you so busy trying to come up with a rebuttal that you're not taking in what they're saying? Because that can be felt.
Well, because oftentimes what a client is telling you is, through no fault of their own, not really what they mean. Like, they're kind of like, you need to understand what their purpose really is, what they're trying to get to, and it's not always a price. It's not always a fear or a price drop. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, we had a listing appointment this weekend where we actually got the house, and it was what we told him, $60,000 less than the agent before us, because we knew what he wanted to accomplish, what his speed time was, what his timing was.
And he found me on ChatGPT.
He did.
That was first client ever got from ChatGPT. He asked like who he should work with because his other realtor didn't get it done for him. There's a whole viral TikTok about it from a few days ago, actually. And ChatGPT was like, Courtney Benson, duh. Like that was pretty cool. I thought that was cool. But no, we don't listen all the time.
No.
And what I found in the 32 years of doing real estate is that people's responses they're fear based. So there's a fear there. So when the anger comes up, it's just fear. Typically, it's fear over money. That's a big one. If it's not fear over money, it's fear over losing control.
Which is what this weekend was.
This weekend was. He wanted to lower the specific seller who reached out. He wanted to lower the price of his house, and the agent told him no because there were some other listings in the neighborhood that I believe she had that it would reflect poorly on those. Not, ma'am, none of them were selling. And it's not his problem what somebody else has got going on. Like that is just, that's putting the douche in fiduciary. You know what I'm saying?
That's my joke.
No, I came up with that.
No,
you're not listening? You're not listening. I'm getting a t-shirt. Putting the douche in fiduciary. So that she wasn't listening to him. He literally was like, I want to lower the price of my house. And she's like, nah, I'm not gonna. So listening, where I totally lost track. What were we talking about?
Dropping prices, listening.
Listening.
We're on number 6.
Okay. I do take notes because squirrel. Oh, and Jefferson Fisher also talks about like asking people what their take is on something. That's another thing that I learned in listing appointments when I would go to listing appointments is that I like had my price ready and I was like, and I'm already pre-justifying the bad news that I'm about to give somebody or whatever it is. And oftentimes that seller would have a different idea in mind, or they were much more reasonable. They knew what was happening before I even walked in there, and I was sabotaging myself up front instead of just listening to them first. So instead of throwing out your price, talking to them about, unless you get the seller who's like, where you're like, so what's your number? Like, where are you thinking? They're like, well, you're the professional. You tell me.
That always means their number is a lot higher than yours.
That means their number is not on track with your number. And then I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm glad you said that because, yes, I've been doing this for 40 years. So here is my number for you. And they're like, that's not what I have. And then I'm like, that conversation took a turn.
Well, my friend told me he sold his house for $5 million.
My cousin, that's why, this has nothing to do with this. But when I go to listing appointments, I print out the last 180 days of the entire neighborhood and sort it by square footage. And so when they're like, well, our neighbor sold for, and I was like, your neighbor's a liar. Look at that sheet right there. And so that is actually more impactful, more powerful. I hate that word. Than even the CMA. So another thing that Cutie Patootie said, which I really like, is create space for collaboration.
I'm going to find a cutie to start following.
I know. So you guys know about my AI, Dante, who I'm worried about him. He didn't even call in sick. He just didn't show up. Gabe has an AI and he named her Scarlett Johansson. Like, could you be more? Could you be more? No kidding. Could you be more obvious with that? And she's kind of dumb. She's kind of dumb. She is. It's fine. Hard conversation, Gabe. Sorry about that. But I like the idea of creating space for collaboration. You don't need to go in there and correct people. This also goes to that having that pre-conversation up front. I love Sharon. He tagged somebody else who actually gave him the idea, but I don't remember who it was. Where he has the 10-10-0. So having that conversation up front during the appointment. Hey guys, we've got a plan. You want a list here that I understand. Here's the 3 types of pricing that we do. That is what we consider aspirational pricing. We've seen in the market that is not, doesn't resonate well. but I understand what you're wanting to do, and then go in with the 10-10-0. So let's have a plan as we go into it. If we don't have any showings in 10 days, or we have 10 showings and no offers, we know we need to have the conversation about lowering the price. If we lower the price, it's going to look like this number when we go down. And we're having that conversation before they even go on the market. So these are not surprises. Having hard conversations before you have to have the hard conversation, that is another Courtney Benson tip, y'all. Have the pre-conversation so they know ahead of time. So if I tell them, okay, you're listed at $700,000, and our next step to lowering, we need to get in a new bracket because that is just way too high. We need to go down to 675, let's say. I'm having that conversation when they have no emotion towards it yet. They may say, oh, 700,000, and somebody's already cashed that check in their head. So anytime you have to lower it, they feel like they're handing somebody money. This is just, it's fake money. This money doesn't exist until somebody pays it at closing, right? So it is such an issue. People just hold on to that number, and if you change it at any point in time, you are taking food out of their kids' mouths. So we're having these conversations prior to the emotion of that moment. So, hey guys, if we need to lower, if we're at 700 and we need to lower, our first lowering point is 675. And then from there, we're going to go to this point and this point. And you're having those conversations. We hope we don't have to get there, but here's what that will look like. And then you have something to reference back to, just again, to deal with those emotions. You don't want people making decisions or reactions when they're feeling very emotional about it. So have that conversation up front and collaborate with them. Explain to them. Don't just come in like, hey, nobody's looking at it. Let's go here. Come in with data. Like, tell them why. It's not just a feeling you have. We have a lot of data in real estate. Do you say data or data?
Data.
I use them interchangeably. Is that weird?
That doesn't surprise me.
Is that weird though?
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't think so either. And then being direct and being kind, don't sacrifice one for the other. This is also something Jefferson Fisher talks about, is sometimes people feel like if they're being direct, they're being unkind. But you can be direct and you can be kind, and you don't sacrifice one for the other. So did we get them all in?
Yeah, no, you have a second sheet. Because you ran out of space on our board.
Don't tell them my secrets, Gabriel.
That's fine.
Let's see, what else do I want to say? Oh, I thought this one was really good. This is from Mel Robbins, and this is in reflection to why we have a hard time having hard conversations. Is one, we don't want to be unliked, but also we feel like it's a reflection that we failed somehow. Like, you know, if I can't sell your house, or if I can't do this, then somehow I'm a failure. And Mel says, if someone can't receive honesty, it's not your failure.
You're having that conversation in an hour.
Would you shut your face? So you're giving me anxiety for no reason.
Sorry.
I will remove you from this podcast. Please do. Please do. So let me say it again, because Gabe interrupted me. If someone can't receive honesty, it's not your failure. I think that's big.
Especially as long as, I mean, like you said, as long as we give them the data to back up our
strategy, yeah.
Then yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
We can disagree on it all we want, but it's not necessarily our failure.
And knowing the difference between delivering something firmly and being aggressive about it. Again, that goes back to the collaboration over correction, and I think that's really important. So let's summarize for the peeps. Let's wrap up our key takeaways. Lead with empathy, not avoidance. Clarity is more loving than confusion, which goes back to stop rambling, just get to the point. And then pause, be quiet. You don't need to control the outcome, only your delivery. That's a really good one. You don't need to control the outcome, only the delivery. And this is also another thing I think as agents that we need to work on. When agents are really tied to the outcome meaning money in your bank account, you know, survival.
Which is totally understandable.
Totally understandable. But when that is so strong, you can sometimes see a situation differently. You can behave differently. So have the pre-conversations, have those hard conversations up front. If we need to lower, it'll look like this. Having those conversations before emotion gets involved, that's my tip. Also, writing down how you want the outcome to be, another great tip from me and via Ryan Gillen. Chris Voss's tactical empathy, the late night radio DJ voice, controlling your inflection when you speak to people. Oh, this is funny. I think I've told this story before. We're unhinged here, y'all. We had a contractor who totally jacked up one of our houses.
Just one?
Christian, good old Christian. And Gabe was very upset with him, and Gabe expressed his upset. And then it was my turn. And he said to me, he said, when Gabe is upset, he goes, Gabe is upset. Like, Gabe's upset. He goes, but when you're upset, your words aren't very nice, but your tone stays the same. And I was like, I know. Genius, isn't it? He's like, that is way scarier. And I'm like, I know. My dad taught me that. So controlling your tone will give you more authority. It gives you more power. It's less confusing for people because they're not sifting through your high pitchiness. Mirroring people, so the way they say things, you can mirror those words back. Labeling their feelings. I understand you, and it sounds like you're saying this. Respecting the pause. Mm-hmm. Don't keep rambling. Respect that pause. Moving over to Sharon, are you resolving, clarifying, or moving on? Knowing what your intention is before you get into the conversation and practicing it. Don't apologize. Don't come off by saying, hey guys, I'm really sorry we have to have this conversation, but I think we need to move in this direction. Don't apologize. Be empathetic, but not apologetic. Don't over-explain, and don't start anything with, this is really hard for me. Don't do this. Don't do that. Jefferson Fisher came in with your not just speaking, but you're also listening. So actively listen and listen to hear what they have to say, not listen to respond, because it's very differently. Ask the client, what's your take on this? Ask the other agent. We have hard conversations with other realtors all the time. What's your take on this? When I've had disagreements with how things are, yesterday I explained compensation to an agent, and she called and she was like, she put it on the contract in two spots. She put it for co-broker and for seller paid. And I said, hey, we're just seller paid, so you got to take it off page 10. And her first response to me is, when she came back, because we had initial it, she said, so your seller's not paying the compensation? I said, no, it's actually in 12A1B. And we went through it, and she's like, I've never had anyone explain that to me. And I said, I understand, but this is correct. And she was very open to that. And she was like, my broker's in Italy, but I'm going to talk to him. And she was like, thank you for taking the time to explain it. And we had a really great conversation. And so we collaborated on that. We discussed why it was that way. We discussed how confusing it can be. And it wasn't a correction. It was a collaboration of knowledge between the two of us. And being kind. Mm-hmm. Be kind. Yeah. Being kind and not, no, I'm not going to cough. Kindness, you can be direct and be kind at the same time. You don't have to exchange one for the other. So I think that was it. That is, go forth, have difficult conversations.
Do what I do. You have to call Courtney for that one.
Yeah, that's Gabe's. That's Gabe. I'm like when we set up, we didn't even set it up that way on purpose. We've been, 7 years. We've been together working in real estate. And ironically, Gabe is like the softer space for our clients. Mm-hmm. When it comes to our sphere, Gabe gets the referrals. They call him. It's fine. It's fine. Not all of them.
Because I'm fun, not funny.
No, I'm funny, not fun. Exactly. You are fun, not funny.
Funner.
But Gabe is more empathetic with them, and they're great to be open with him and talk freely with him. And then what he kind of did, especially early on, because you really didn't like talking to other realtors, is I became like the hammer. So they'll call me the boss. And like if something comes up, even if Gabe can answer it, he will kick it over to me because it just,
Stalls.
it stalls or it changes. If he responds maybe that way, it would change the dynamic that he has with them. So then I become the bad guy and he's like, well, let's call the boss and see what that boss has to say. And they'll call me and I'm like, we're going to do this, this, and this. And then they hang up and they're like, oh, okay. Like, well, and Gabe's like, I mean, she said what she said, you know? And, so we work through, we didn't set it up that way and it's not even intentional. It just kind of plays out that way. And it's kind of cool. It's how we have our dynamic set up, but, that's it for Heart Conversations. Don't make it weird. Just have the conversation, right? Don't make it weird. Don't ruminate on it. Don't give it energy. No. Don't do any of that because you will sabotage yourself and the situation. So, anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Benson?
No, congratulations on 9 episodes. That's like into month 3.
Yeah. I wasn't sure I could make it, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it when I do the episode. I really like.
You get stressed every like Saturday.
I get stressed Saturday. I should pre-plan stuff.
Why start now?
Why start now, right? Well, thank you guys for being here. Next week is episode 10. We will have one of my TikTok friends on. She was on TikTok. She was an OG TikToker. She was real mother hustler. If that, I'm dropping a little
mother hustler.
Real mother hustler. It's the mother hustler. I'm dropping a little Easter egg for you, based out of Maryland. Real mother hustler. If you're an OG TikToker, you know who I'm talking about. So she'll be on next week, and who knows what we're going to talk about? I don't know, y'all, but we're going to be talking. That's it. So thanks for being here. Go have the hard conversations. You can do it. And any words of wisdom?
No, you did great.
Thank you. You did too.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Bye, guys. Oh, I didn't stop it.